Craig, stop thinking. Stop thinking and actually record. He sat there and hesitated. It's like I told him what to do, and he just kept staring at me and wouldn't do it.
He's using chat record GPT, and he's just making up the entire thing. And this is actually really us. We're robots right now.
Yep.
We were assimilated over the weekend.
Yep. Oh yeah, who are we, by the way?
I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher.
And I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay. And we actually have really important Dungeons and Dragons news, like the most important D&D news that has happened in I don't know how many decades.
Okay.
But yes, we do. But spoiler. So it's about the movie. So if you give a shit about, so if you care about spoilers, you should just leave and come back here in a couple of minutes while we talk about D&D the movie, the new one, Honor Among Thieves, that one.
Yeah. How is it a spoiler?
I don't know, but the internet was insistent that the new trailer was a spoiler.
Are you talking about the 3-minute featurette that I posted on Facebook?
The one that I linked to you guys, where it showed where it showed them in the maze, actually running around doing stuff.
Yeah, the 3-minute featurette.
Right, which has publicly been released for consumption by whatever company made the movie. Therefore, not a spoiler.
Paramount and E1 is the thing that Hasbro owns for everything.
Yeah, I don't really care who made it, but it's not a spoiler. But there were idiots online who was like, "It's a spoiler, bro." So sure, man.
How is it a spoiler? If it's a vignette of a movie that has yet to be released, that's not a spoiler. There may be spoiler things in the film, and you are showing off some of the film, but that doesn't make it a spoiler. A spoiler would be like, "Oh, Chris Pine dies at the end." I don't know if he does. I just pulled that out of my ass, by the way, so don't be too afraid.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a spoiler. That's not something they're going to show in the commercial. That's not something they're going to show off in a vignette. They're not going to show you the end of the film where the sorcerer falls in love with a tiefling girl and she turns into an owlbear mid-coitus and murders the shit out of him. I saw that on...
That's the ending I'm here for.
That's the ending we're all here for, yeah. Detective Pikachu this, bitch.
But as that's not actually going to happen, not a spoiler.
No.
That's more like that's fan fiction spoiler right there. That's what that is.
That's not a spoiler. I mean, the vignette was really cool and it was amazing, and it was everything that I hoped it would be. I am very confused though, and I'll look this up while we talk. But I don't think there's an arena in Neverwinter.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I have never heard of any Forgotten Realms city that had the capabilities of doing what they were doing in that little vignette.
So in the Colosseums they have in the trailer, it had like movable floors, mechanical floors, whatnot.
Not just movable. Like these were so next level movable that it had to have taken the entire might of the Thayan wizards to create this thing.
Yeah.
Like they were going up and down instantaneously, every single one of those 5-foot square blocks, mind you, because they were 5 foot. They were all 5 foot in width.
I know, right? That's the best part. That's honestly the best, like little wink and nod is that these like pillars are 5-foot squares.
Yeah, they were all 5-foot squares, and it could go up to about 40 feet high. But there were, I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of them that they were just building an arena out of on a whim to suit whatever purpose they wanted.
Yeah. It was great though. They showed off the Displacer Beast and how like it does like it's like little like duplication field thing.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, that was more to like almost like a minor image of itself, like walking closer.
Yes, it is incorrect to the rules of Dungeons and Dragons, but I give zero shits because it was so well done.
And it just looks so great. Like, honestly, that should be what the Displacer Beast does, you know?
Yeah, for anyone who has not watched the trailer, go watch it. But it effectively, like in the rules of D&D, it creates a mirror version of itself that can be up to possibly 5 feet away. Whereas this one was literally just making it could move it around. It was kind of an opposite thing, and it was at some point probably 15 to 20 feet away. So
Yeah. It was, but it looks so cool, though.
it was really well done though. So no complaints.
The Mimic looked cool. The gelatinous cube looked cool.
Yeah, the
Everything about the film looks really cool. I'm so glad this OGL shit was over with, and we all can be excited for the movie and go watch it
Yeah, I was
and not
gonna
feel
see it.
guilty.
I was gonna see it anyway without any guilt whatsoever. But now everybody else can do that.
The best part is I'm definitely going to be standing like at the exit and just handing out like Grumpy Dungeon Master business cards and shit. I'm like, here,
Oh,
yeah,
you should definitely do that. I'm sure we're gonna get.
just go to movie after movie after movie and just like hand out cards. Like, yeah,
I'm sure we're gonna get tons of actual D&D fans that'll listen to a podcast that goes into the minutia of Dungeons and Dragons.
I better find all my cards. I don't know where they are in my mess of my office. Yeah,
Yeah, I still got a handful around here. I'm handing out a lot of them.
yeah.
But the most important part about the trailer is the thing we haven't actually talked about, though.
What?
The fact that they have legitimized the cartoon characters, Presto the wizard, Bobby the barbarian, all of them actually do make an appearance. And
Yeah, they did show that off. Yep.
and more importantly, first off, they're actually in Forgotten Realms, and this is obviously taking place at least a decade after the cartoon ended, and they never got home. And the reason I say that is because when you actually see Bobby pretty much up close, that's a teenager. That like he
He's
is
in
a
his early 20s.
yeah, like that is a very muscular 18-year-old or older kid.
And which one was Bobby? He was
He's the barbarian. He's the
the
one who got the
barbarian.
axe. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't a child because I remember he was
No.
the youngest one. Yeah.
Yeah, like in the cartoon, he was, I don't know, 10 years old or so. But in this, he's an adult.
Yeah, they don't have any other magic items that they got in the cartoon show, obviously. But like everyone that starts in that arena doesn't have any weapons or anything.
Right.
So, but I mean, the fact that there was more than just a one shot too, there was multiple shots with them. I kind of hope they survive at least the arena. Be kind
Oh,
of sad if they don't.
I'm sure they'll survive the arena. It wouldn't
The
make
other team,
sense.
though,
Yeah, well, yeah, they introduced three teams. You had the characters with Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez and all of them, and then you had the original, cartoon characters as a team, and then you had the red shirt team.
red shirt team, yeah, because like what, three of them died in that vignette.
I know for sure at least. Yeah, I think it was three of them. There was a dwarven uh, fighter or cleric who got killed by the displacer beast. There was, I
The
think,
female thief,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, she got
Yeah.
eaten, and what was the last one went to a gelatinous cube. So
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely hype. Actually, speaking of the film, I was at Walmart with my daughter picking up stuff because my wife was sick like a couple weeks ago, and I had saw that they put out some of the toys early,
yep.
as Walmart tends to do. So I took my daughter to the toy section, and that was a story in and of itself. Trying to rein in a little child not to look at toys in a toy section. We're trying to find toys for daddy, sweetie. And I did find the section with all the Dungeons and Dragons toys, but it was very small and almost empty.
hmm
I did see they had like little GI Joe size action figures for each of the main heroes, which is disappointing because I really have no use for those. But they did have, and I got them right here behind me. They did have Rakor, the black dragon that's seen in the trailer.
The big.
As
Oh
a
wait, yeah, the one flying around, breathing
Yeah,
acid everywhere.
it is a 20-inch wide, 11-inch tall black dragon figure. So when you take this and you pop this thing out of the box and you size it up to other figures, it's an ancient black dragon. Okay.
Okay.
So all I gotta do is just put this thing on a base, or shit, just put them on the board, and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I have
So
an ancient black dragon mini that cost me $30.
I mean, that's how much would one normally cost you? 40 to 50?
About 150.
Oh, okay. Well, sounds like $30 is a really good deal.
Right. So yeah, I got myself an ancient black dragon right here, and it looks pretty badass. It's definitely a toy, and it's definitely not a mini,
Hmm.
but it's got snapping jaw action, and
Oh,
hopefully
hell
it
yeah.
doesn't drip acid anywhere.
Well, actually, with snapping jaw action, that's even better because now when it kills one of your player's characters, you can just take their mini and stick it in the mouth.
Your guy's dead.
You got 8. No, that's
Dragon
fantastic.
ate you. But yeah, they have there's a plushie for the big fat ancient red dragon that's in the film.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I
so
loved the joke in the. I think it was a different trailer. The trailer that you linked today, the joke that they made about it. Uh, so somebody said it used to have a different layer, and then I think Chris Pine's response was, "Did it eat it?" Because of how, yeah, and then you just see this bulbous, overweight dragon lumbering towards them.
I love how it just like slides down on its belly to get to them. Like that's straight out of some DM's nightmare. Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, just sliding right at the players.
yeah,
He had some fever dream, and that's what he came up with.
like he's almost like an overweight corgi, just sort of
Yeah,
rolling around. Short
definitely
little
a corgi
stump.
hit a battle map. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a dragon. This is a dragon now.
Uh,
I'm super
Good.
hyped for the film. I really can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm I think E1, the company that made it, that was off of Hasbro's movie company. Um, I think they're sold. Um, so well, they purchased the E1 in 2019 for $4 billion, and they put it up for sale for 3.8 billion 3 years later.
Okay.
So they made the film under E1. Uh, so I They own a lot of brands underneath. E1 controls Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, My Little Pony, Power Rangers, Play-Doh, Monopoly, Clue, and Peppa Pig. So all those brands are under E1. So it'd be kind of weird if they just sold everything and
So what I just heard is that we're going to get the Dungeons and Dragons Transformers Peppa Pig crossover.
well, maybe. I mean, they keep
Let's hope not. Oh God, let's hope not.
actually speaking of Transformers. So we were at the LARP this weekend, and I was playing Monster Town. Basically, Monster Town is me just statting players as monsters and sending them out to fight the players in the game. And a couple of the people that are on plot and a couple of the monsters came over and said, "Hey, we need stats for a Grimlock. What are Grimlock stats?" So I was
Me,
like, "All
me
right,
Grimlock.
you're a 25-foot tall man made of metal. You have 500 body, 500 hit points. When you get to 250 hit points, you transform into a 25-foot tall Tyrannosaurus Rex made out of metal. You one-shot everything. Doesn't matter what it is. You have a bite attack, and you can only say me Grimlock.
God,
And then,
I hope somebody there got it.
oh yeah, the plot person was our friend Christopher Beasley. He looked me dead in the eyes and goes, "Bet I'm doing it," and he walked away. I don't know if he actually did it or not. I don't think he did because I didn't hear any horror stories about a man made of metal.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
no.
wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah, you got to watch what you say around there. Uh, so, so I was up in Raleigh last week, and I hadn't actually told you what happened to me while I was up there. So I went
You
to
get
Raleigh.
robbed.
No, no, the exact opposite.
You
Uh,
robbed somebody?
well, almost the exact opposite. It was legal.
Okay.
I'm hanging out with somebody that I'm not going to mention who on the podcast, but they know I'm a reseller. They know what I do professionally and all, and we're hanging out talking games and magic and other stuff like that. And they're like, I have an entire storage locker just full of gaming stuff. I want you to take all of my tabletop games and get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
So quite literally, I took all the tabletop games in the storage locker, of which many of them will be mine, and then some of them that I don't want, I will resell. It
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an exact number. I haven't counted them, but it's probably 150 to 200 books.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have most of the Legends of the Five Rings. I have most of Werewolf the Apocalypse, Changeling, Wraith, Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader. There's other stuff. All of the core stuff from Pathfinder First Edition, and I'm a little overwhelmed because
Yeah.
I was really starting to lean towards running Dune, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
fucking ADD.
Yeah.
like I'm legit ADD, and now all of this stuff falls into my lap. So I have to figure out what I'm going to run next.
Well, first off, you can send me all the Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader books.
Uh,
I'll take those.
yeah, the core books for all of those, the core books for Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader, like the primary rule books, I'm keeping those.
Oh.
All the other stuff, I'm probably gonna sell off, and maybe I'll send you something.
So yeah, because Rogue Trader is actually something that I had heavy interest in before Fifth Edition came out. Well, I think it had come out, and I wasn't playing D&D anymore at that time.
Hmm.
For Rogue Trader, for those who don't know what it is, it's based on the Warhammer 40k universe, and you're not a space marine or an orc or anything crazy like that. You're a rogue trader. You're basically this giant vessel that floats around space and transports cargo eh, and basically trades. You're a trading ship,
Hmm.
but it's a massive ship, and these ships are so massive, they're like the size of a continent on our planet, and they just fly around space, transferring goods
Yeah.
and stuff and having their own adventures. So I really liked it. We had like this kind of like Firefly setup that we were going to do as a smaller trading vessel of a rogue trader. And we had our characters built out, everything. I had built out a character who was the mechanic, who was secretly chaos tainted because I had seen a chaos demon show up to my village when I was a child and murder everybody. So I'm insane, and I can talk to the machine spirit of the engine, and essentially I'm the engineer because of that.
Yeah.
And I had a lot. I had a really cool mini. I still have them someplace, I'm sure. And we were going to play it, but we just never got a chance to start the game, unfortunately.
Yep.
But I
Yeah.
definitely want to play it.
Yeah. Dark Heresy, I have played a few times before, and if you have people who know the Warhammer lore really well, fantastic. Rogue Trader, exactly like you. I always had interest in playing that one specifically because you're not Space Marines.
Yeah.
You're not even really involved in that, but you're still in the same setting.
Yeah.
I also got a copy, and I don't know the name of it, but it is the one where you actually get to play Space Marines. It's like Dark Heresy, but you are
Death Watch.
yeah, Death Watch. I got it as well, but I
That
don't have it. I don't have much interest in that one.
that's the one that I talked about years ago, where I was basically at a gaming store and they
And
were looking for people,
okay,
and they were playing Death Watch, and they're like, "Oh, Gil, do you know play the game?" I was like, "No, but I'm more than happy to learn. This is a heavy interest of mine." They're like, "We don't want you because we don't want to teach you the rules."
right,
I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, fuck you then." I don't know.
yeah. I remember you telling me the story. For some reason, I was thinking that was Dark Heresy, but
No, it was Death Watch, because that one interests me too, because that's a you can pick any of the Space Marines, and now all you do is run out there and kill giant monsters. So I'd
yeah,
want to play a Devastator in that. That would sounds
hell
great
yeah,
too.
yeah. That's
I'll
pretty
take
cool.
both of those. I'll give you $5.
Well,
I'll give you $3.50.
I may send you the Death Watch one. Yeah,
I'll give you $3.50.
350, and I'll send you a bunch of them.
Don't
But
tempt me.
yeah, the wife might not be so happy with me after that.
She still doesn't forgive me for the terrace that I bought.
Yeah, that'll take a little bit.
Yeah, I had to buy her. I bought her the Kamigawa Wave for her anniversary,
Hmm.
for our anniversary, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, it's a giant 2 foot by 4 foot painting. I was like, all right, sweetie, I'm gonna buy you this giant canvas painting in a black frame. You can pick between two things. You can either go with the Kamigawa Wave, which is something that you've wanted since I married you, or, and hear me out, or I can make it a giant picture of Tiamat. Oddly enough, she didn't go with my second idea, and she went with the Kamigawa wave.
I mean, she said, she'd wanted it for a while. So I guess I'm
But
not
it's
surprised.
Tiamat. It would have been a huge picture of Tiamat. It would have been awesome.
I mean, hey, I would love to have a giant picture of Takesis hanging up on my wall.
Yeah, Tiamat.
uh, so I got this massive stack of Legends of the Five Rings books, which not surprisingly sent me kind of down a rabbit hole
Hmm.
because I have played original Legends of the Five Rings, and then I have played the Dungeons and Dragons versions of Legends of the Five Rings. And this book that I have is from 2000. The one I got today is from 2001. Oh, sorry, the other day is from 2001. The one that I have on my shelf that is the Dungeons and Dragons one is from 2001. And they're not the same book. They look different. So I got really kind of confused in the what the hell happened here.
Mm.
So I went to digging around kind of into the history of Legend of the Five Rings. And it came out in mid 90s, 95, 96. And the one I had played 20 some odd years ago was the original version. Um, it was made by ISO Media, I think was the company that made it. And for anybody who's a real historian on L5R, when I screw something up, I don't really care. So just get over yourselves. Yeah, AEG and ISO Media. I know you know who AEG is, the board game company.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay, well, AEG is a massive board game company, just like Fantasy Flight. You've heard of Fantasy Flight, right?
Yes.
Oh, I hate you sometimes. 95, they put out this game. It was a tabletop game and it is a collectible card game. And
Okay.
both of them sort of influence each other. So in late 90s, early 2000s, Wizards of the Coast purchased Legends of the Five Rings. They bought it out from AG and Isomedia, and then they released their version of it, which is Dungeons and Dragons Oriental Adventures, which is it was for third edition. The original Oriental Adventures came out for first ed. I don't recall there being a second ed one. There was one that was called Kara Tour, which was similar, but not exactly the same.
Okay.
Uh, and then shortly after they worked with AEG, or AEG ended up doing their own sort of version of it under the OGL, I think is what
Hmm.
it was, which is the version that I got the other day. And they're
Okay.
almost identical. They use the same rule set. I was kind of looking through; they still have all the same clans. So I couldn't tell you the exact difference. Um, like this one, it uses the barbarian class and everything else. The books are laid out differently, and there's obviously some different stuff, but mechanically, it still seems to be the same game. Uh,
Okay.
One thing that I found out when digging through here that is absolutely fantastic, and Watsy could totally do this, but the collectible card game actually influences the future story.
Hmm.
So when people go and play the card game, there's 7 clans, and in the big tournaments, when you win, whatever clan deck you're running, it affects how the future story is going to go.
Okay.
So if over the course of the year all the tournaments are won, like the Lion Clan wins the vast majority of the tournaments, when they wrote the next big supplemental book furthering the storyline,
Hmm.
it'll have that in there.
That's
And
cool.
I absolutely love that idea. Like that is such a cool thing. And with Watsy owning Magic the Gathering, and specifically they've released Dungeons and Dragons expansions. Uh, like they could do something like that that would further along the storyline because they keep track of all the decks they're winning. They have an idea as to what's going on within that community. Like
Yeah.
there's all these deck lists are out there. So I don't know exactly how they would do it, but it's something that's kind of neat that could be done.
That reminds me a little bit of the game Defiance. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So Defiance was an open world MMO that was like a science fiction world in the near future, post apocalyptic world. You know, the standard story for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and the cool difference about this is there was a Defiance television show. Okay,
All right.
so the Defiance television show essentially was the setting of the video game of the MMO. And there were characters in the show that were NPCs in the video game. So as you play through the MMO, through their content updates, if you did something extraordinary, like being like the world first to take down a boss, okay,
Mm-hmm.
they would mention those players slash clan slash guild or whatever in the show, and how the players accomplish the tasks in the game would influence some story beats of the show. So they both kind of synced up together. It was pretty ambitious. I have any more details beyond that because I don't know a single soul that played the game.
Yeah, I've never seen it, never heard of it.
The show came out. I think it had a couple seasons, and then was canceled. And then the servers for the game shut down in 2020.
Huh. Was it a cartoon or a live action thing? Or
Live action show, yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a really cool concept and something I wish they would do in the future. Like a lot of like the taking Warcraft as a probably more well-known example. Uh, I know for a fact, like on the server that I played on, Skull Crusher, the first person that ever got a Thunder Fury, which is a legendary sword in the very beginning of the game,
I know
was
everybody in chat decided to continuously tell us about it for
yes,
years to go.
but the first person who ever got it was a player that was a Dwarven warrior by the name of Ray. He's the first person to complete the entire quest line and actually get the sword built. There was a hunter as well too on the same server who got the first part and then the second part before they knew anything about the sword. They just knew it was a legendary drop. Well, this guy Ray wrote this whole blog about how to get it and how to do it. It's well before WoW had showing everything off and
Yeah, yeah.
spawning everything. But he kind of wrote up how this is this is what I got, this is how what I did, this is how I had to go. These are all the quests. And so later on in the game, recently during the expansion, which is almost like 10 years old now, which is sad to say, Legion, uh, the Rogue quest line, they give rogues Thunder Fury as one of their legendary class weapons. So you have to go out and find Thunder Fury, and you find Ray dead in the beach. He had stormed the Broken Isles. At least the character did, and he died on the shores there. So you loot Thunder Fury off of his body. So I really like the fact that they take some player things that were like a first and continue them on. There's a warrior too that played in beta called Inda Lamdar, who's now a trainer in an undead trainer for warriors.
Huh.
So
I mean,
I
that's
really
pretty
like
awesome. Yeah.
that's really cool. So the concept of this game is really awesome too, and you can even take it further for D&D. Like, yeah, cool, this D&D movie's got to be really big and popular, but they need to have a web series. The Wizards need to really capitalize on like Adventures League and players playing and how many players complete this adventure, and let us know how they go and what they did, so we can then write that into the story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of missed opportunities to cross paths here and get people excited for things. Like they did release all the characters in the movies as monsters for D&D Beyond, so
Yep.
you can get them added to the monster manual. So all the characters in the film are CR5 monsters.
Yeah, even barring web series, just sort of staying on the same topic, it there are definitely missed opportunities within the Baldur's Gate 3 video game that's coming out that could be
Yeah.
like that. It's probably too late now, but if they had continued to really hammer on the Adventurers League thing, they could have done something similar to that. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be players, but tying in their tabletop game, some of the little storylines that you would get from Adventurers League, they could have tied into that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the problem is that those are separate teams that are not synced up with
Hmm.
the the storytelling aspects of the major brands of the actual design team at WotC. And like the honestly the group that's doing it the best is Acquisitions Incorporated.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they started a little podcast thing. They did the little game and everything, and now they're doing a web series with it, and they have the book that you can buy. Now they're not doing another book for Acquisitions Incorporated, which is really kind of I think a missed opportunity. But you can buy the stuff that they're doing right now as part of their Kickstarter and be a part of it that way. So at least there's some interaction from that standpoint, and it has Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford as part of it. So
yep.
you'd think that they would.
Yeah, they could definitely use the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff more so simply because those two guys are heavily tied in. It, I think you would get more notoriety if they were somehow able to use characters from, say, the Critical Role thing. Even though those Critical Role characters aren't based in Forgotten Realms, which the video game is, but I don't know.
No, but there needs to be a Critical Role video game in the same vein as Baldur's Gate is.
Yeah,
Like
I
that.
mean I don't think they have any. Obviously they don't have any real power over Critical Role, but Critical Role, those guys are willing to work with WotC to do stuff.
Yeah.
Just pay them enough money, and I'm sure they'd let you, have access to their likenesses for a video game or a
Just
book.
fill the dump truck full of $5 bills and back it up to Mercer's lawn, and keep doing it until he says yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny too because early in Critical Role days, Mercer and them had their own YouTube, or like it wasn't Critical Role. It was like Matt Mercer and Marisha Ray had their own YouTube where they'd go through their house and show you all the minis they had and everything like that. And that has
Mhm.
completely disappeared. I have no doubt that the little ranch house that they were living in before Critical Role is a much larger house by now.
Yeah, for sure. Just they have WotC has the financial backing to do really cool things, and I think they're scared of doing it for some dumb reason.
It's that gigantic corporate mentality. We're taking any sort of creative risk is just sort of frowned upon and smashed into the ground. Small companies do it all the time, but giant companies they don't like they don't mind taking risk because financially they take a lot of risk, but they don't like anything creative that's risky. They just think it's going to fail outright. Like I mean, they've already pretty much written off the D&D movie.
They no, they have like
Yeah,
they fucking written it out. Like it has to be uber successful, or they're never making another one. And by uber successful, I mean Ant-Man is a good example. It bombed at the box office. It made as much money as every other fucking Marvel movie if you ignore like
yeah. It only
the
made a
event, the big
billion
Avenger.
dollars. Yeah,
Yeah, it made plenty of fucking money, but because it didn't meet some arbitrary number value that you have, it it was a failure all of a sudden. No, okay, it had a huge drop. Okay, well, a lot of people still aren't going out to the movies quite a lot, so factor that in. It's like also too. There's one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where they said, "Oh, this is a bomb of the Pirates movies. This is the worst Pirates movie that we've ever had." And I'm sitting here like, it made $90 million in opening weekend.
By the way, did you know that Keanu Reeves is replacing Johnny Depp in that franchise?
I don't believe that.
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so get off of the fake news website.
That's just Google. Who knows if it's
Yeah,
actually true? But
I highly doubt that's true.
uh, it'd be weird. But hey, who knows?
But I don't know. There's a lot of opportunity out there. People are still clamoring to play D&D. I had a phone call literally right before this podcast about someone wanting to have a side hustle where he gets paid to DM, and there are
Cool.
tools out there for that. So people are definitely still in the mood to play D&D and play tabletop, whether it be Pathfinder or what have you.
Oh yeah,
It's still out there. So
it's huge. The market's huge. It's not going away. Uh, Dungeons and Dragons is failing. Yeah, not actually failing. They're still going to do just fine. But there's just people want more, and unfortunately, the only ones who can give us more are Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. Yeah, that's the only ones that really have the money to do that.
more? You want more?
That's right. We want more. You know what we really want? We want Dark Sun.
Dark Sun's never going to happen.
I'm aware. Okay, so I'm gonna broach this topic. I'm gonna start off with saying that I'm glad that WotC did cancel Dark Sun, and my reasoning for that is the fact that it would have been terrible. It would have been absolutely terrible
Mhm.
because Spelljammer was absolutely terrible. Dragonlance was absolutely terrible. I have zero doubt in my mind that Planescape will be absolutely terrible. Dark Sun would have been as fucked up as they possibly could have made it. Their reasoning for not making it is just kind of dumb, but you know,
What's
whatever.
the reason you heard?
The reason I heard, well, I don't think they were talking about it officially on the books, but the reason was from somebody high up in that production was that they couldn't do a game with that much slavery in it today. That they have to be sensitive to to things like that. And I call bullshit. I absolutely call bullshit on that. If you
Mhm.
can't release a game with large amounts of slavery, like if you're not familiar with Dark Sun, it's a very brutal world, a la Conan, where slavery and violence are kind of part of a day-to-day existence there,
Mhm.
and you get to play the heroes where you fight against that. Every day they release games where there's theft and murder and bigotry in them, and nobody complains about that stuff. So I don't think people are going to really and truly complain about a game that has a setting where slaves exist. Like in Forgotten Realms, like the Thayans, they utilize slaves. Orcs, they utilize slaves. These are not new concepts.
It's not new concepts, but they do have to tread carefully
Yeah,
um,
but you can do it.
on the topic. Yeah, it takes a little more concerted effort to do that, and also it's a setting that has slavery, but you don't need to continue that if that's the biggest problem. You could have society be rallying against that in your next book, but you need more than a single fucking paragraph explaining the change. So
It is
do
all,
that.
and that has already actually happened in many of the old novels. Uh,
Yeah.
like
So just do that.
one of the sorcerer kings was killed and overthrown by his slaves. There are entire sets of novels written about this, and that's a great setting. That is a backdrop. You're playing the goddamn heroes to fight against that.
Right. So I find it kind of weird that they wanted to do it because of just that reason. The reason I heard was that they were seeing whether or not they could actually finish the book in time and sneak it out on top of everything.
Hmm.
But they got some negative feedback for the books, and I think the Spelljammer one didn't sell as successfully as they wanted, so they didn't take a risk on
Yeah.
doing anything more. And then the OGL stuff exploded, and they were like, "Okay, wait,
Yep. And,
um,
and truthfully, I think that's what it was.
yeah,
Uh,
that's what pretty much killed any more new books." So the information that I got outside of all that was like the book that just came out, Keys from the Golden Vault. Like that was initially scheduled to be released at the end of 2023. after the Planescape book, but they pushed that ahead of schedule. And our friend Jeffrey Ludwig had written a section of that, and I had just at a once the book was released, it's like, hey, how long? When did you write this? He's like, oh, I was asking a question of which one he wrote. He's like, I don't remember which one I wrote. I wrote it over a year ago.
Yeah.
So that tells me that they have probably all the works for 5e already on, already collected, and they're just going to release the stuff as it is. Nothing new is being written for D&D at this point in time. They're probably focused fully on 6th edition before the 6th edition rules kind of really solidify, which is probably a bad thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, like obviously at this point their only focus is 6th ed. They're nothing else in 5e matters. It's all written, it's all done. It's just it's going to hit its release dates this year, and after that they're done with it.
Yeah. I just, as much as I hate to say it, I honestly think that D and Done is just dead in the water. I don't think that anything that they do is going to make people want to buy the books again and reinvest that much money when 5e as a system works perfectly fine for the small window of levels 1 through 15.
Yep. The 6th edition, they are absolutely staring down 4th edition all over again.
They're not fixing any of the problems that the people in the industry that I've talked to have with the system. They're not addressing the problems with the math and the leveling scaling and the bad CRs and the weird armor classing. None of that is being changed. And that could be fixed to an advanced 5e and actually work out correctly. It could get more gritty with the rules, and that would make a lot of people happy. But they're not. They're making them even more simple on a system that's already arguably simple enough or too simple. So, and I kind of go back around to, like, everyone keeps telling me, it's like, well, you're the DM, you can change it. Again, I am. I can if I want to.
Shouldn't have to.
But I shouldn't have to. And it makes me feel sad. So, I mean, there are systems out there where I don't have to. Pathfinder is one of those. And there are others people are making. MCDM is right now developing their own tactical RPG gaming system that looks fantastic. And I feel like that's going to be a surprise big hit with a lot of people. You can watch their streams, and they're developing it on streams and taking player feedback along the way.
Yeah, we've talked about it a bazillion times on here. There are so many other systems out there that you don't have to run Dungeons and Dragons as a system. If they don't release an ungodly amazing version for 6th edition, they're really and truly likely to see 4th edition all over again. And we know how abysmal the 4th edition sales were. Like so few people played 4th edition by comparison. So, yeah,
the thing that's weird about it too is, like, I don't think it's Crawford or Perkins or any of the current D&D design team that's forcing this down, this simplification. They're trying their best to sneak in cool changes where they are, but then players are freaking the fuck out. Like, oh my god, don't take critical strikes away from us. Like, they got to do something, guys, because they can't just keep everything like 5th because someone's going to buy it, and they can't do anything cool because Hasbro won't let them.
Yeah.
So,
as always, it's the higher ups in the company who are going to be adamantly against any creative changes. This is a cool idea. No, we're not going to do that. That would require more money. Well, we could do this. That's going to require more money. Anything that would help is just going to be kind of squashed and right out. If they want to release an advanced edition, which I've never heard of them talking about doing that, but once again, they're not going to allow that.
Yeah.
Not unless they know that they're going to make good money off of it. And with kind of the shitstorm they've been in over the past year and a half, 2 years, it's not going to happen. They're kind of in spiral downward at this point.
So speaking of new content that they have actually delivered on, have you seen the stat blocks for the Thieves Gallery for Honor Among Thieves?
I have not. I did see you mentioned it in a thing earlier, but I haven't seen it.
It is free.
I did see that all of the characters are effectively level 5.
The CR5s.
Yeah,
So that makes them effectively like a player level of 8.
8 or 9. Yeah, somewhere in there.
So it's on our it links on our Discord podcast chat channel on our Discord. You can go take a look at all that. Take a look at the characters. What I find funny is they're pretty well built characters. They're okay. They do a lot of like they don't go too crazy with the characters, which is great. They're CR5s. The heroes are. They follow the same kind of like spell casting makeup that the revamp of Mordenkainen's monsters do. So no issues there. I know a lot of people don't like it, but no issues from my standpoint.
Sure.
The tiefling druid that everyone complained about. Oh my god, she can't wild shape into an owlbear.
Yeah, how did they pull that one off within the rules?
So as a bonus action, she has Doric. She has change shape. She can do it 5 times a day. She magically transforms into a beast with a challenge rating of 3 or less, or into an owlbear.
Nice. So you know how they got around this,
or
and
into an owlbear.
yeah, how they ended up getting around it. They decided to not actually make them the equivalent of PCs. You said they gave them a CR5, which means they are effectively monsters. They're monsters. That's how they did it. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can just make that up. Good job, Watsy. Way to outsmart the complaining ass player base.
The bard, Edgin, the Edgin bard. He's pretty much the bard.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like I've always looked for just like basic, like tough druids or tough bards. They don't really have those. They have like mage or bard level 1, level 5, or adept and major.
Yeah.
They don't really have really good things. So not actually having like a good CR5 druid and a CR5 bard is really nice to have just by itself. So the bard CR5, he's just a bard, nothing super special with him. Then there's the rogue, who's Forge, which is the guy that's the criminal.
It's the guy who's actually one of the villains of the movie, not even part of the group.
Yeah, the best part about him, he's a heavy crossbow wielding rogue.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. Holga Kilgore, which is the
that's Michelle Rodriguez.
The barbarian, Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah. She has a bonus action that's unique to her, which is with wrestle. She shoves a creature within 5 feet of herself. That creature must succeed a strength saving throw, or be moved into an unoccupied square of Helga's choice.
Why is that not a thing? Like, that should just be a feat that you could learn.
It's a feat if you pick up shield mastery.
But it's okay. Why the hell would you want to be? Yeah, I'd rather be able to wrestle you as a barbarian. I don't need a shield. I want my 2-hander and still to be able to grab you.
Yeah. So, she has improvised weapon and her dark steel great axe, which is kind of cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sorcerer is a sorcerer. He has a special reaction for sheltering shield, which I think is that helmet thing that he wears.
Okay.
As an ability, it just shields everybody within a 10-foot radius. And then Safina, which is the Red Wizard of Thay.
Yep.
She's a CR15. She can summon a swarm of meteors and a summon wraith as a bonus action. She makes necrotic strike. She's got a bunch of cool spells. She has Finger of Death, which is a 7th level spell. I guess a CR15 would have a 7th level spell, but that's pretty big.
But I don't think a CR15. Well, maybe a CR15 would have Meteor Swarm. But
no, she also has Time Stop too.
Yeah, okay. Once again, they're doing it as monsters. It's weird. As a PC at 15th level, you don't have either of those spells.
Right. And then the paladin is a CR10. I don't know how he works. He has a sword, and his sword's part of his kit. So like it's got a weapon called a dagger sword.
Mm-hmm.
As a bonus action, he can shift it from a long sword into a dagger or to a short sword.
Well, he also fires off rounds from it, as we've seen in the trailers.
He does not do that with this.
Okay.
But it's like he has multi-attack, where he makes 3 dragon sword attacks and uses dragon sword flourish, and he can replace dragon sword flourish with cleansing touch if it's available. So that's cool. Dragon sword flourish says he can choose the option that corresponds with a dagger sword's current form. See the dagger sword shift below. And if it's a long sword, the blade detaches from the hilt, launching the blade at a creature.
See, there it is.
And
Yeah.
okay, so that's a dex save. Or with the short sword and dagger, he lashes out with both weapons, and he must make a dexterity saving throw, taking piercing damage and disadvantage on attack rolls to start next turn. So he gets like this a couple attacks, and then that weird flourish thing.
Yeah.
As
It's
yeah,
weird too, because
it's weird.
we watch all these trailers, and the 4 characters are obviously who are in the movie. That's who the movie is about. Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, the druid, and the sorcerer. And then you have the rogue that they, at least within some of the trailers, they keep pushing him off as being part of the group. And then the paladin, they're doing sort of the same thing. But those two are not. They don't seem to actually be part of the adventuring group. Those two are NPCs that the DM is throwing. The paladin is probably thrown in to tag along, and the rogue is obviously an enemy. So
The rogue definitely feels like an enemy. He's in the underground, or the paladin's at least involved in the Underdark section of the film, whatever that is.
yeah.
So
I,
there's
it's
that at least.
it's just the DM. I think he's like, okay, we're gonna have to fight a dragon, and I don't know that these level 8 characters are up for fighting this dragon, so I'm gonna give them a level 12 paladin to help them out. That's what this is.
Possibly that's what it is.
That's,
Um,
that's what it seemed
I'm
like.
still weirded out that this is Neverwinter. I'm really glad that they are going up to the prison in
Yeah.
Icewind Dale.
Yep.
That's really cool. Like that's the kind of stuff that I want to see in my films. I want to see this interaction with the books and the games and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah, I mean, we were talking very much about there some missed opportunities, but no, that's actually a good little play, because that prison was never a thing. It did not exist until Rime of the Frost Maiden, and they're intentionally tying in the film with that. So that's pretty cool. Good on them.
yep. So yeah, I'm super hype about it, and I can't. That and they got the Mario Brother movie coming out and John Wick 4. It's a good year for movies so far.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know about the Mario movie, but John Wick 4, I'm definitely going to see that because I loved the last ones.
why you dissing the Mario movie, man?
Oh, I'm not dissing it. I just don't have any interest in it.
Mario teams up with Donkey Kong to
No,
race cars.
no, bro. The Mario movie came out years ago. It had John Leguizamo in it. I've already seen it. It was awesome.
To be fair, I did like that movie as a kid. Like I know it's a terrible movie in retrospect,
I know it.
and
It almost killed Dennis Hopper's career. It was so bad.
his career was the exact same place before and after that film. That movie had nothing to do with it.
Dennis Hopper was a very big name actor. Like he was in tons of things that I can't name off the top of my head.
He knew exactly what he was signing up for when he said, "Hey, we want you to play King Bowser Cooper in a film, but we're not going to have you wear any prosthetics. You're just going to be a human Bowser." And he
Yeah,
was like,
we're gonna spike your hair up, and that's it.
"Bet I can do this." And he did fine. He played the same exact character he played in Waterworld.
Oh, he was in Waterworld. That's right. You're right. Yeah, that was same guy, same character.
It's the same character. Like, hey, don't even change a thing. Just be this guy again.
So well, I got one last thing I wanted to chat about before we wrap this podcast up. So along with the massive collection of books, I also got 2 Pathfinder decks of cards. One of them is a critical hit deck of cards, and the other is a critical fumble deck of cards.
Ugh.
Oh, I love it. You don't have to, for people who don't like crit fumbles, I understand that. Critical hits, though, is a thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
so
I mean, I like that the system is built for it, but I don't think Pathfinder nor D&D at all is built for that.
No, well, I mean, you've got your rules, but there's no reason they couldn't release a separate deck that does other stuff. But so let me just read a couple of these and how they work. So you flip up a card, obviously, and it has for the critical hit, it's got one for bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, and magic. So the bludgeoning one on this card, double damage and 2d6 intelligence drain, but you do get a saving throw against it. Hand wound for piercing, normal damage and 1d2 dex damage, -4 penalty on all rolls using that hand until healed. The slashing, broad swipe, normal damage and 1d8 bleed. I don't think bleed is really a thing in 5e, but yeah, you get the gist of it. Every round you take a d8. And for magic, lingering magic, normal damage this round and half damage each round for 1d4 rounds. So yeah,
Okay.
and its entire 52 card deck of things like this, which I personally I love it. I don't know that I would. I absolutely know that I would use it if I had it for 5e or second ed Pathfinder whenever I run that, as I'm probably never going to run first ed 5e. These aren't that useful, but still
Right.
kind of a really cool concept.
Yeah. I mean, the concepts are great. Like I said, the Fantasy Flight system with Star Wars, having the crit fumbles or having the fumbles that they weren't crit fumbles or crit successes, but they were like using the disadvantage from the DM side to create fumbles
Yeah,
and have that add to the story was really good. I really enjoy that aspect of it. If it can add to the story without slowing down gameplay,
mm-hmm.
I'm all for it. I
Well,
really am. Like I
and
really enjoy that.
the fact that these are on cards, if anything, it's going to be better pulling things like that off of cards than it will be on rolling it. Because rolling it, you have to wait for the player to roll. You have to look at the chart. With a card, it's just instantaneous. You just flip up the card, and there it is.
Yeah. The card would definitely help with that. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
But yeah, kind of a neat little thing that I got. Maybe someday I'll get to utilize it. I know we are going to be doing Starfinder at some point, and that's still the equivalent of first ed Pathfinder. While these decks may not work, I might have to see if they have Starfinder crit cards.
Is it first ed? I thought it was second ed.
These were from first edition.
No, Starfinder. I mean.
No, it's the equivalent of Pathfinder 1e.
Okay, I thought it was 2e.
No, I don't think they've released a second edition Starfinder yet, but I'm sure that's in the works as well.
Okay. Well, we better wrap it up here. We got a stream to go to, so make sure you're watching our stream tonight when the podcast comes out, because that's going to be our last episode of Grounded, I think.
Either tonight or tomorrow, one or the other.
Well, Tuesday night, when the podcast comes out Tuesday, so Tuesday night will probably be the last.
Yeah.
Get your time right, man.
Well, we did lose an hour or gained an hour. I don't know.
Oh my god, it ruins people's lives. Why do we still have that crap?
It's so archaic. Stop it.
Get rid of it.
All right, we're out of here.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.